Kidney conversation.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Health. Let's talk about it. Lifestyle. Let's talk about it. Choices. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Kidney conversation.
Hey guys, this is C. Allen, better known as Chef Benet, in the Kidney Conversations, and I am so excited today because I have with me brother Steve Belcher. And Steve Belcher has an amazing story being in the dialysis industry for almost 34 years now. And after the break, when we come back, we're going to be talking about his book and everything. So we got a really good, great show ahead of us today. So let's welcome Steven Belcher. So Steve, talk to us about how in the world did you get into the dialysis industry?
And thanks for having me on, chat. Man, it's been a long road. I started in 1985, right after I got discharged from the military. I was living in Killeen, Texas, my wife and I at the time. And I wasn't doing medical in the military. I was doing something totally different, combat arms. So we moved, after I got out of the military, we moved to Austin, Texas. And I saw this ad on television for a career school, just like here. And it was for medical assistant. I decided to call, and I matriculated through the course. And I asked the job placement person, even before the classes were over, the course, if they knew where I could find a job, get on the job training. And they gave me this number for dialysis. And that's how I got started, as a dialysis technician.
So now how long were you a dialysis technician?
10 years.
Wow.
And then back in the 80s, 1985, when I started, technicians, you had to work 6 months before you can stick somebody. So if I started and I go through the training, I still couldn't put the needle in the person or work. If they had a catheter, I had to call someone else to do it, a senior technician to do it, and then I continue to hook up the patient and monitor the treatment.
Okay, so then talk to the audience about, I want to know, like, what do a dialysis tech does? Tell us briefly how the job works.
Okay, so you go through training to learn about the basic principles of hemodialysis.
Hemodialysis, okay.
Right, and how to care for a patient. So a lot of times, these companies, these large companies like Fresenius or DaVita have training sessions for about 8 to 10 weeks. So again, they learn about basic principles of hemodialysis, the breakdown of the machine, the whole water treatment system. So during a typical day, technician comes in about, depending on what time they open, they come in the morning, set up the machine, get everything ready for patients to come in. Once the patients come in for treatment, they get their weight, they wash their access, get it prepped, they come to the chair, and the technician takes their vital signs, standing and sitting, the blood pressure, the pulse, and the temperature.
And so why do you do all of that?
Because these are pre-vital signs. You want to know, kind of get a baseline of what their vitals are before we start treatment, and see if the pressure may go up during treatment or go down, the pulse rate, and even with the temperature. Because once they're on dialysis, there's many complications that can occur that can cause your blood pressure to go up or down.
And I want to talk about that, Steve.
Pulse rate.
I want to talk about that. So tell our audience about, or tell me really, what happens, why would a person blood pressure drop? I see that all the time, almost every day that I was in the center, someone blood pressure would drop. What is that about?
So that occurs because you're pulling off too much fluid. Now, it's a tricky situation. Why I say that, because you have patients who know that you're only supposed to have 32 ounces per day.
Did you hear that, everybody? 32 ounces of fluid per day.
Yeah, or less. But that's the suggestion. I mean, some people go over that, and then some people can manage their fluid restriction. But if you got 4 or 5 liters on it, you're trying to pull off in 3 to 3.5, maybe 4-hour session, trying to pull a lot of fluid off, then that's going to affect your blood pressure.
Yes.
Some patients can tolerate that because they're used to it, but technically, now you're not supposed to set patients to take off 1.3 liters per kilo. So, because you have something called cardiac stunning, which can affect the heart. When you're pulling off too much fluid rapidly, you can cause the heart to go into arrhythmias. You know, so a patient's blood pressure may drop and their pulse rate may go sky high, or patients, you pulling off fluid and they start cramping, then we got to get back the volume, which is the normal saline that's hanging up, and that's what really it's used for. But you have a lot of times patients, they're trying to pull off fluid, say for instance on a Friday, they say, oh, I want to take off a little extra because I want to have something on the weekend. But then they do that, and then they start cramping, and then you try to give them the replacement fluid. Say, no, don't do that because you're putting more fluid on. No, we have to do that because you're depleting your fluid volume. The cramping comes from the fluid being poured off out of the muscle tissue. So we got to replenish that, so, you know, with the salt inside that bag, so a person can stop cramping. And that's why you have a lot of patients that take off that fluid, and then they go home, and then at night they're cramping, you know, and they wonder why, because you took off all this fluid, and if you're not replenishing that salt to get in those tissues, that's what's going to happen. That's why we used to give what's called chicken broth to patients that started cramping, because they had this chicken broth had the bouillon cubes, and it's a high sodium rate. And so we'll put that in, give it to them, but they stopped doing that because, one, you know, it costs the clinic, but two, because of the hot water, you have some patients you give it to, and they may be unsteady at the end of treatment, and then they start to drink it, and they may spill it and burn themselves. So down, it's a liability issue.
Got you. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, everything Steve is saying is what I went through on dialysis. What happens a lot of times is that it's the water intake. We have to limit our water intake, and oftentimes during the weekend, because I was a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So by the time Monday came, I had so much fluid still on me over the weekend, because someone like me of my size, I used to drink, Steve, over a gallon of water a day.
Wow.
So going from drinking over a gallon of water a day to now I can only focus on 32 ounces is the entire intake. And sometimes they wanted you to be less than that. They don't want you to go over 32 ounces.
Yeah.
So someone like me, I can do 16 ounces in one setting. So now you're talking about, now and someone who loves to drink water, now all of a sudden I have to limit that. It becomes a problem. But then, Steve, what a lot of you may not realize is that it's water in our salads, it's water in our food. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. You make a good point. And I want to say anything that melts at room temperature is considered liquid. So you also have to keep that in mind. It's not just the fluid that you drink, but the foods that may, you know, turn into liquid at room temperature. Like somebody had greens, watermelon.
So let me
stuff
ask you
like
this
that.
question. So how did you go from 10 years to a dialysis tech to now becoming a registered nurse working with dialysis patients?
Yeah, great question. A patient. So, as you said, when you was on dialysis, and you know, after we put patients on the machine, there's kind of like a downtime while after you get on and everything kind of like settles down, then we're kind of waiting for the, you know, patients go through their treatment. So a lot of those times I would sit down next to a patient that was a PhD. His name was Dr. Wilberg. And he used to work for United Nations up in New York, intelligent gentleman. And he encouraged me to go back to school because his kids were doctors or professionals.
Yes.
And he encouraged me because I started at UDC and I didn't know what I want to take, and I was talking to him about it, and he said, why don't you go into the nursing? You're already doing that. And I thought about it, and I went in it, and I attained my associate's degree. Then I went back in 2003, and then 2005 I got my BSN from University of Maryland. Then in 2008, I obtained my master's with a track in leadership and management.
Congratulations.
Master's in nursing. Then I obtained a second master's in health education and promotion in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really good. So a patient kind of inspired you to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In the beginning.
So what I want to know is, I want to know that you are the founder and creator of the Urban Health Kitchen. And I want is it Urban Health Kitchen?
Well, it's the Urban Health Outreach Media
Yes,
Network.
the Urban Health Outreach Media Network. I want you to tell us all about that, and then I want to go into, I saw something with you on social media where you had a cooking show, and everyone know that I'm the founder, owner of the Kidney Cafe. So when I saw a little bit of Steve's cooking show, I said, we definitely have to have him on. So tell me about the network, and then tell me all about the cooking situation.
Okay, so the network started out, in all this, I didn't tell you that I'm executive director of a nonprofit.
Okay.
It's called Urban Kidney Alliance.
Urban Kidney Alliance.
Urban Kidney Alliance on Facebook, but we're doing DBA now. We're doing business as Urban Health Alliance. As I was telling you, I want to branch out to start focusing on chronic illnesses that plague the Black community.
Yes.
Not just kidney disease now, but sickle cell,
Yes.
prostate cancer,
Yes.
breast cancer, all that. But through that nonprofit, we were doing kidney disease advocacy. And then we started branching off and doing interviews about 3 years ago in 2018. And from that, I decided to create a network to produce shows that no one else were doing pertaining to kidney disease.
Beautiful.
So, you know, with the COVID hitting last year, that kind of gave us more of an opportunity to reach more people because people were inside now. And so we created different shows from this. So we have a show on our network called The Warrior's Quest. Okay, The Warrior's Quest is for people looking for a kidney. They come on the show. I'm not the host, but another gentleman is the host, Jared A. Brown, and he interviews a person looking for a kidney if they're looking for a living kidney donor. Because a lot of patients are already at the hospitals, you know, where they want to get the transplant. But this is for people also looking for a living donor. So they come on the show, tell their story, and pitch, you know, their story.
Which is really
and then we
good.
put the information for the hospital.
Very good.
Blood type.
Now, how long have you been doing this?
3 years.
3 years.
About 3 years. And from that show, we started doing other shows, and that's how the Urban Health Kitchen came about. It just changed the name. It used to be called the Kidney Cookery.
The
where
Kidney Cookery,
we
that's
had
what I saw.
chefs come on the show that had kidney transplants.
Oh, wow.
Who were on dialysis. It had 3 particular chefs that had kidney disease, 2 had transplant, and 1 just got a transplant. And they came on different times and cooked kidney-friendly meals right there. They had their laptop set up, and they'll cook and show you exactly what they're using and the products they were using, and it was a success.
That's
some of the
great.
meals.
So we definitely want you to kind of connect us so they can come on the Kidney Cafe and do a meal for our kidney audience. So listen, we got to go to break, but I want everyone to make sure that they get the book, because we're going to talk about, when we come back from break, how to survive outpatient hemodialysis. Now see, this is something that I wish that I would have known about 2 years ago when I had my situation, because what happens a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, is once you get that terrible diagnosis, the first thing you start doing is trying to research to figure out how can you cure yourself. What is this about dialysis? I don't know too much about anything about kidney disease. I only just, they just told me today that I had kidney failure. What in the world is that? We want to talk about that and much more when we come back with Stephen Belcher. He's here to talk to us about kidney disease. We'll be right back after these messages. Hey guys, we're back here in Kidney Conversations with Brother Stephen Belcher, and we have been having an amazing conversation offset because I love to talk to people that's in the industry that we're in, which is to bring kidney awareness. And when I found out about how to survive outpatient hemodialysis, I got really excited. So Steve, and you know, 34 years in the game, tell us, and this is the new book, so I'm excited that one of the launches is here on the Kidney Conversation. Talk to us about this book, A Guide for Patients with Kidney Failure. What made you write this, Steve?
Man, that really was inspired by God, to be honest with you.
Okay,
I know I told you the 3 reasons why, but the inspiration came by God because as we mentioned, I do these education shows online, and I wasn't getting a lot of views. People coming, that the audience I wanted to reach.
Yes.
So I said, how can I reach people if I can't get them to come and watch the show? And then that's when the idea came up for the book. And it's 12 chapters, and it basically, like you said, you wish you had one of them. Because of the high rate of people with kidney disease, over 700,000 people, 9 out of 10 African Americans have stage 3 kidney disease and don't even know it.
That's right.
It was necessary to write that book because once someone gets hit, if you don't know you got kidney disease and all of a sudden the doctor says, oh, you got kidney failure, you can start dialysis. It's like, you never heard of it.
That was me.
It's like, where do I go? A lot of people go online. A lot of people reach out to find information that can also be harmful because you have people out here selling these kidney cleansers, and they think they could take that and it may be more harm than good. So
wait a minute, you know what? I'm glad Steve said that because I started reading up on what do I do to get healed from kidney failure. And one of the things, I kept reading a lot of articles about putting baking soda under your tongue and all that kind of stuff. And let me tell you what happened, Steve. This is true, Stephen. What happened was I started doing the baking soda under my tongue, and I started going to the bathroom more frequently, like I had healed myself from kidney failure because my urine, I was still going to the bathroom, but I wasn't going as regularly because of my kidney failure. So when I did the baking soda, I was like, God, it healed me, right? And then I went to the doctor. So when I had Dr. Melanson back on the show, the kidney transplant doctor who did my transplant, he said to me, he says that, you know, that can help in reference to the urine flow. However, he talked about the high blood pressure that could cause by keep taking the baking soda. So it goes back to what you were saying. People are out here saying that this can do it, that can do it, but they're not telling you the repercussions of doing certain things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now in your book, you talk about what is chronic kidney failure, which is great. You talked about intro to hemodialysis. Your first day at outpatient hemodialysis. Talk about that. What does that chapter 3 tell us about?
Well, first day, it takes you, once you're at the door, once you walk through that door, it takes you through meeting the secretary, signing, going through the admission process of filling out all these documents, which include the consent form, assignment of benefits, patient's rights and responsibility, the grievance policy, the hepatitis B vaccination.
So go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm going to say, and any other vaccinations that may be required at time, like maybe the flu or the pneumonia, they present that paper to you, advanced directive. You sign all these initial, and then at the end, you sign your name to say that you understand what you read or what's been told to you. However, a lot of patients don't realize in the consent form is where the meat of everything happens at, meaning what can happen to you while you're on dialysis, like the cramp and the low blood pressure, infiltration of your access, sepsis, which is a blood infection, arrhythmia, cardiac arrest.
Steve, okay. Listen, everybody. I need you to get this book. And the reason why I think it's important is because when you have someone that come up to you and may say to you that I think I have kidney failure, kidney disease, you can refer them to this book, because what Stephen is saying is so true. Listen to me. When I came there, a lot of this is overwhelming, because when he's talking about directive and all of that, they're actually saying that if something happened to you on the machine and you pass away, who do we contact? What happens this, what happens that? And a lot of that becomes overwhelming. So my next question, Steve, is what would you tell the person out there that just found out that they have kidney failure? Of course, we want them to get the book.
Yeah, that was the first thing I was going to say.
We want them to get the book, but what other words of encouragement would you give someone?
So if you go to the doctors and they say you have kidney disease or protein in your urine, you want to start asking questions. Find out what stage of kidney disease that you may have, because there's 5 stages. And the 5th stage is what they call end-stage renal disease. There's no turning back from the 5th stage. But if you're at stage 1, 2, and 3, then you can halt even 4, and even 5, you can halt the progression, and not further the damage. But once you get to 5, it's pretty much a done deal. But find out what your numbers are. Find out what your blood pressure is. Keep tight control of your blood sugar, and ask questions and advocate for yourself. If you don't understand something that the kidney doctor or the doctor's telling you about this disease, seek answers. Keep asking, because no question is a stupid question when it comes to your life.
So when you say, because I want to be clear, when you say stage 5, there's nothing else or whatever. Stage 5 is when they are on dialysis and they're really in need of a transplant.
Yes, and speaking of that, what happens to a lot of African Americans that they don't know, if you have stage 4, or say stage 5, and you haven't even started dialysis, you can get what's called a preemptive transplant, meaning you can find your donor before you even start dialysis. But what happens is when you go to the doctor and you got kidney disease, you don't find out about transplant until after you start dialysis, which takes, you don't know when you're going to get it. But if you're at stage 4 and they say, oh, you don't have to go on dialysis if you find somebody give you a transplant, then right there you can start the search right there. I know people right now that's not even on dialysis, that's in stage 4 or 5, that's looking for a transplant.
And you know what? I'm glad Steve said that, because I don't want you all to get in the same situation that I was in. Because I was in a situation where I came to the doctor, or basically I was sitting on the short version, sitting on the sofa, stomach started hurting. All of a sudden they're saying that I have kidney failure. And they was telling me, Steve, that I was at stage 5, end-stage renal failure. And to me, that is where the depression didn't sit in for me, Steve, until I went down to the Social Security building to apply for Medicaid, because I had to be able, Medicare. I had to be able to get Medicare in order to have the transplant. So when I went there at me not even 50, going there to get to apply for Medicare, and when the lady said to me, Steve, and she says, oh, okay, so you have end-stage renal failure. And when she said that to me, end stage, meaning that you are in the process of end-stage renal failure to me was you are about to die, that is when the light bulb came on to say, wow, I'm in an end-stage situation. Meaning, what do you mean by end stage? This stage is ending, and that is how I started taking it. Because I would go to doctors for different visits, and they would say to me, they would say, you know, you have, your kidneys, you have bad, they would say all the time, you know, you have bad kidneys, you need to watch your kidneys, stuff like that.
You see, right there, not to interrupt, but right there, when they say you got bad kidneys, what is bad kidneys?
Yes.
You know, what do you mean by bad kidneys? Meaning, is it stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4? Do I got protein leaking? You know, again, that's why that book came in, because none of that information is transferred to a lot of patients about changing their diet, changing their lifestyle. If I go to the doctor, like I have stage 1 kidney disease, and so I do what I need to do to make sure that it doesn't go any further than that.
So let me ask you this, Steve. So the book, everyone, where can they purchase the book?
You can purchase the book Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, or you can go to my site, www.stephenlbelcher.com.
And how much is the book, Steve?
Book is $24.99.
$24.99, guys. So How to Survive Outpatient Hemodialysis, $24.99. You can go to Amazon, you can go to his website, and I'm sure we'll put that up on the camera for you.
And you know what? Just the surprising thing, I got 2 forwards. One by a kidney doctor, pediatric nephrologist, who also has kidney disease and got 2 transplants. He wrote one of the forwards, and the other forward was from a civil rights leader, Charles Bonner from San Francisco. He's a civil rights attorney. But I wanted that forward to give a perspective from a civil rights perspective of health, and a nephrologist that's dealing with kidney disease as well.
That's wonderful. Well, Steve, our time is almost up. What I want you to do is I want you to talk to our audience about your nonprofit and how they can help you advance your cause.
Sure. Urban Kidney Alliance is a 501c3 nonprofit that educates and communicate and collaborate with urban communities across the country. And what we try to do is partner with stakeholders to disseminate kidney disease information, awareness where it's needed. Right now, as I said in the beginning, we are branching out and we're doing business as Urban Health Alliance. We're still in the kidney space. We have a website, www.urbankidneyalliance.org. You can get much information on kidney disease and what we're doing in the kidney space from their website. And any donations can be accepted on urbankidneyalliance.org. Just go to the donate page and smash the button.
I know that's right. Well, guys, what we like to do here is on the Kidney Conversations is we like to bring different guests in to kind of give you more knowledge and more awareness. A lot of times in our community, it's usually the senior citizen. Now, I want you to, real quick, Steve, tell us how things are really changing, because I know when I was in the center, they were coming in younger and younger. So what do you think is causing that?
Oh man, diabetes and hypertension. Those are the 2 leading causes of kidney disease. However, you do have other genetic disorders like polycystic kidney disease. You know, you have lupus, nephritis that can cause it. You can even get kidney failure by drinking contrast diet. If you go in for MRI, and you got to drink the diet, that can knock out your kidneys. Right. Antibiotics, ibuprofen. So there's a lot of things.
And I'm so glad you said that, because that was part of my situation. My situation, I don't want to mention the medication because I don't want to scare people, but it was the medication. The doctor told me that if I continue to take this medication, I was taking the medication because of gout. And the
Right.
doctor said if I continue to take that medication, it's going to affect my kidney. So he told me over 20 years ago. So I don't want everybody to think I started coughing, all of a sudden I had kidney failure. Now that is the case. However, I've been warned year after year about not having these gout attacks, which is a buildup of uric acid, which is also caused from like liquor drinking, which I was doing, highly seasoned foods, all of that, because I love hot sauce and everything. All of that gave me gout, which I had to take the medicine. And the only way for me to get rid of that pain, I took the medicine, and the medicine is what gave me kidney failure. So
Yeah.
now I can't even take any ibuprofen at all. I can only take Tylenol.
Yeah, because Tylenol is toxified through the liver.
Exactly. All right, everybody. So listen, Steve, we got to go. But listen, how to survive outpatient hemodialysis. Make sure you pick this up. Go to Amazon and get this, because what we always say, my hashtag always is nice to be nice. So we want to thank you for tuning in to Kidney Conversations. Come back with us next week as we continue to uplift, to ensure, and to empower people living with kidney disease, and to make sure that no one else get in that category of living with kidney disease. So make sure you check Stephen Belcher out, and always remember to visit us on our kidney-cafe.com website. I want you to have a great day and make it count.